By 2030, the digital economy in PHL could unlock P5 trillion. The digital economy of the Philippines may reach P5 trillion by 2030, but it needs to address roadblocks to fully take advantage of the opportunities, a global strategy and economic advisory firm said. Fraser Thompson, Alpha Beta founder and managing director, said in a virtual briefing on Tuesday that shifting to digital is a must to make the country resilient not only during the pandemic, but after as well, as it seeks economic recovery. Digital transformation can unlock up to P5 trillion worth of economic value in the Philippines by 2030, he said. This is equivalent to 27% of the country's gross domestic products, GDP, last year. Contributions from the health sector, transport services and financial services are pegged at P416.1 billion, P364.3 billion and P355.7 billion, respectively. Resources and infrastructure, meanwhile, are expected to contribute P245.4 billion and P204.6 billion, respectively. Nearly a quarter of this forecast, or P1.22 trillion, will be driven by the consumer, retail and hospitality sectors, he noted. This is followed by the education and training sector, agriculture and food, and the government with P607.1 billion, P576.7 billion and 550.2 billion, respectively. Of that total digital opportunity, 69% or P3.5 trillion is driven by technologies that can help mitigate the impacts of COVID-19, Thompson shared. Broken down, bulk or P1.78 trillion of the P3.5 trillion are for technologies facilitating customer interactions, transactions and marketing through digital platforms. These include digital retail sales and marketing channels, online food and beverage delivery platforms, e-career centers and digital platforms, online retraining programs and telehealth applications. This is followed by tools needed in enforcing hybrid work arrangements as part of a business continuity plan with P1.33 trillion. Examples of these are remote patient monitoring, automation and artificial intelligence, AI, customer service in hotels, and automation and robotics in the manufacturing sector. The remainder, P334.2 billion, is for digitizing supply chains amid the prolonged global delays. Some of the technology applications for this are Internet of Things enabled supply chain management in the agriculture and manufacturing sectors, and smart ports. Google Philippines commissioned Alpha Beta to conduct the study. The report also revealed that Google's products and services in the Philippines translate to P363.4 billion in annual benefits to businesses and P214.5 billion in annual benefits to consumers, by enabling businesses to unlock new revenue streams and expand their businesses through the use of Google Ads, AdSense, and YouTube. Google indirectly supports over 110,000 jobs in the Philippines, the study added. Challenges. The Alpha Beta official said the Philippines has low digital adoption, in addition to a lack of awareness about digitalization on the part of the micro, small and medium enterprises, MSMEs. He noted that over 50% of the companies in a 2020 survey did not have any web presence. This, as only 26% of the MSMEs have knowledge about digitalization programs. Apart from these, he pointed out that only 32% of the households in the National Capital Region have internet access. The figure is lower at 5% in predominantly rural regions like Bicol Province, he said. The Philippines lags its neighbors on equipping skills for the future workforce, he added. As such, Thompson stressed the need to improve the digital skills training and education, in addition to accelerating the digital adoption and innovation. Digital adoption is crucial for the Philippines to unlock new opportunities and gain resilience in the post-pandemic future, Google Philippines Country Director Bernadette Nacario said. By providing businesses access to global markets, equipping businesses with digital capabilities to conduct electronic transactions, and facilitating remote work, technology can help businesses manage the long-term economic implications of the COVID-19 pandemic, and while staying resilient against future similar events, she added. Meanwhile, Thompson added it is also crucial to promote digital trade opportunities. DTI's part. The Department of Trade and Industry, DTI, for its part, said the report can help the country's bid to boost digital capabilities. However, to fully unlock this potential, we need to overcome certain barriers such as the challenges surrounding our digital adoption and digital infrastructure, he admitted. As such, Lopez said the DTI is always pushing for partnerships between the public and private sectors. Since last year, the trade official said the DTI and Google have trained over 46,000 small business owners and employees to inform them about digital transformation. The road ahead of us may be steep, But this pandemic only made us realize that no obstacles can stop us with our collective effort and shared mission, he said. The DTI earlier this year said it aims to boost the contribution of the e-commerce industry to P1.2 trillion by 2022, which is equivalent to 5.5% of the country's GDP. Manila, Philippines. Economic recovery for Southeast Asia is expected to be more pronounced next year, as the region learns to live with COVID, with the Philippines expected to post the strongest rebound. In its weekly economic preview, market intelligence firm IHS Markit said the economic scenario for 2022 continues to be positive for ASEAN as the region benefits from the global rebound from the pandemic. Most countries in the region this year suffered from COVID case surges due to the Delta variant, leading to renewed large-scale mobility curbs, which disrupted business activities and further delayed rebounds in consumption. While the ASEAN's economic rebound in 2021 has been significantly dampened by new waves of COVID Delta variant, the outlook is for gradually improving economic conditions in 2022, IHS Markit Asia-Pacific Chief Economist Rajiv Biswas said. GDP, gross domestic product, growth momentum is expected to improve in 2022, as vaccination programs reach a much higher share of the total population of the more populous Southeast Asian nations, allowing a gradual return to more normal domestic economic conditions, he said. IHS Markit expects positive growth across all ASEAN economies in 2022, largely due to base effects over the past 2 years. The Philippines is seen posting the strongest growth at around 7.2%. The growth figure is within the government's 7 to 9% target for 2022. Philippine economic growth for this year is eyed at 4 to 5%, but local and international economists and financial institutions are already expecting a lower figure due to the recent lockdown. The Philippines will be followed by Vietnam at around 6.2%, Brunei at 5.8% and Cambodia at 5.6%. Myanmar is seen posting the slowest growth at less than 1% amid ongoing political tensions in the country. Despite next year's high growth, IHS Markit noted that many Southeast Asian nations still face considerable challenges. Some nations still have relatively low second-dose vaccination rates, problems with accessing vaccine supplies, and also the very large size of the population in many nations, notably in Indonesia, the Philippines and Vietnam, Biswas said. In the region, Singapore and Malaysia have the highest vaccination rates. Cambodia and Brunei have also recorded high first-dose vaccination rates. While economic growth momentum is seen improving next year, Biswas emphasized that most ASEAN countries will face the medium-term challenge of fiscal consolidation. This is due to the high level of government expenditure since 2020 as part of fiscal responsibility, which in turn led to huge jumps in debt to GDP. IHS Markit also said that recovery would likely be uneven across sectors, with industries like electronics manufacturing, household consumer products, financial services, and information technology likely to be leading the recovery. On the other hand, the tourism and air transportation sectors are expected to have a more gradual recovery as international travel restrictions remain a major impediment in the near term. And while the region suffered its worst economic slump in decades, Biswas said ASEAN would continue to be one of the fastest growing regions in the world over the long term. The entire ASEAN economy is forecast to more than double over the next decade, increasing from $3 trillion in 2020 to $6.8 trillion by 2030. Over the next decade, ASEAN will be one of the 3 main growth engines of Asia-Pacific, together with China and India.